What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and this is going to be my first impression and the stat speculation for the new Ocarina Kids banner that we're getting next week. So we did see a bit of teaser of this in the FEH channel live stream, and we did know that Marth and Caeda are going to be on this banner. So the first unit we have is Young Marth as the sword infantry unit. He looks absolutely adorable, and that could be said about every single unit on this banner. They look really cute and adorable, and the art is super nice. So he is a sword infantry unit, and that's a really competitive type, but he is gonna be a pretty nice unit that a lot of people can get because he's a 4-star focus unit of this banner, which means that if you really like Marth and you want to invest into him, then you could potentially spend about 500 to 600 orbs on average and plus and merge him on this banner. And Marth is going to be having around like 172 BST, so he could reach 175 BST after the first merge, and that way he could be a really good unit to be used in Arena or any of those scoring game modes which use that kind of method. So let's take a look at his base kit. The first thing that we see is Rapier, his weapon, same as Fina, so it has got inbuilt vantage and effectiveness against armored and cavalry units. So this is really great because it frees up his slot B, and he can just use a lot of different skills in combination with this. And effective damage against armored units and cavalry units is super good, especially like armored units, because armored units are super common in something like Arena, and you can like use him as a counter pick in Arena Assault. And armored units are generally pretty bulky, and cavalry units can also be bulky with like Cav line and ether rate, so he can always find use there. And Hero's Blood is a special, which is basically like Legendary Marth's Fire Emblem, but just with a different name. And this is a nice option, scales off based off his speed, and he can buff up himself and all of his allies when he triggers the special, chill defense and speed defense oath. So as for fodder, like he doesn't really have too many things. Chill defense and oath skill is decent, but mainly like I can see a lot of people going for merges on him because he is gonna be a pretty decent unit that you can invest into for Arena, and he doesn't really require grails like Itsuki or Astrum. Now you would have to spend a lot of your orbs and just right before a few months before we get Chooser Legends 4, but if you really like Marth, then he is gonna be a pretty good option. Having double effective damage and vantage is also nice, but honestly I didn't like expect them to reuse Fina's weapon for Marth. I mean, it kind of makes sense for him, but still wasn't really expecting his young version to have this weapon. Now let's take a look at the speculated stats which I have. So I've actually changed the presentation of it. I think it looks a bit clean, so let me know if you like it or not. So yeah, he has got 41 HP. If you count up the sticks of his HP, he's in the vantage range here as he attacks his Lance Cavalier, and I think he has got around like 34-35 attack. His speed is gonna be pretty nice at base 37, and his special does scale off based on his speed, and Rapier does give him extra 3 speed, so he ends up at 40 speed at base. And if you add like speed boon and plus and merges, he can easily reach around like 47-48 speed, so that is really good for scaling off based on the special. And you can always use stuff like close call repel on him because of his high speed. And as for his bulk, I think it's gonna be decent and workable. I do think that these units are gonna be having like stat spread similar to their adult versions, but obviously better because these are units in the 4th year of the game, and all of those adult counterparts were on the 1st year. It really doesn't make sense how these young versions are going to be outclassing their like adult counterparts. Is it something deep where like as kids we don't really like take a lot of tension or stress of the world, but as we grow up, all of those things come to realization and we get more and more conscious and insecure about our abilities? Is this what it is? I don't know, because like these kids haven't really fought a war like their adult counterparts have. So like adults have way more stakes in the battle, and these are just practicing. So maybe, I don't know, that's just my speculation when it comes to the philosophy of these units, I guess. So that's Marth, and then we move on to young Caeda. So she's a sword flyer just like her adult form, and she has got feather sword. That is not a feather, that's the biggest lie I've heard. That's an infinity gauntlet that can wipe out 50% of the units in the game. So Feather Sword is a 16 might weapon, gives her +3 attack, so essentially a 19 might weapon, and it is effective against sword, lance, axe, and colorless bow units, and also armored foes. So 4 weapon types and 1 class type, which is armor. So that is just a lot of effective damage, and she can also get effective damage against dragons if she, you know, pairs up with Naga and gets Divine Fang buff. So she cannot really like have effective damage against mages, beast units, colored daggers, or colored bows. But most of the colored bows that we have as free-to-play units, like free-to-play friendly at least, like Wrath and Python, are green. So Caeda's probably gonna be able to like do a lot of damage to them. And not only she's got a lot of effective damage built into her weapon, but she also has inbuilt Vantage. So there are two ways of triggering her Vantage. Either you just trigger it the old school way where she's going to be less than 75% HP, or if the foes against whom she's got the weapon effectiveness initiates combat against her, then she's going to be able to retaliate back first. And this can be really annoying to face actually. So her special is Moonbow. She comes with distant counter by default, which is a really good skill for her because I do think she's going to be having high resistance, and her slot B skill is an exclusive skill, most likely. So it's called Belief in Love, and it's basically like a lull attack defense, but it's only active when the foe initiates combat or if the foe is at full HP. So it's kind of enemy phase oriented, and that's basically the thing with her base kit, just, you know, capitalizing in the enemy phase, and she's got joint tone attack. So lull skill on her is really nice because like flyers don't really have too many good options for slot B other than like Pegasus Flight, I guess, which she's gonna be a good user of, no doubt about that. And flyers cannot really get lull skilled, so Belief in Love is actually a pretty good skill. It helps her take less damage and helps her do more damage against foes. And like Caeda is gonna be a very, very powerful unit, but I don't think she's gonna be as common as a lot of people think because first of all, she's a seasonal unit. Like, it's not really gonna be that easy to get her, and most of the whales are not really going to be whaling for her like they did for Winter Sothis or Legendary Crom or any of those units, because those units scored high in Arena. She can probably just go up to like 170 BST like as it is. You're definitely going to be seeing some plus than she does, no doubt, as the time comes, because whales will be whales and they're going to be getting plus than she does. So like she's going to be extremely annoying to face in Arena because most of your arena core is gonna get munched up by her because you're probably not running like a mage, a dagger unit, or colored bow or dagger unit in your arena core like most people do not. So, and even one-off copy of her is gonna be pretty nice to get for something like Arena Assault, or just in general, you know, that effective damage is pretty nice. If you get something with plus attack or something like that, you could even make her into a mixed phase unit with Desperation, so she can like counterattack with Vantage in enemy phase and use Desperation in the player phase. So that's Caeda. Very, very powerful unit, it appears to be, but I do think they're gonna balance her like effective damage sword with lowish attack. I don't want to hurt you, she says, and she hurts like half of the cast. Nice. So she's gonna be triggering her Moonbow, and these are the stats I'm expecting on her. So I did calculate a bit of her attack based on the amount of Moonbow damage she gets. I think this Lance Cavalier has got around like 25 defense. So I do think that she's going to be ending up at 32 to 34 attack, I think. I don't think it's going to be very high because normal Caeda doesn't have that much high attack as it is. And, you know, you have to balance a bit because the balance is out of the window with that weapon, obviously. So you kind of have to balance it with her attack. If you don't, then oh well. But even though her like base attack is low, she still gets quite a lot of attack in terms of Belief in Love skill, and also her weapon, which is like a 19 might weapon, as I said. So that Caeda appears to be pretty powerful and does have a lot of novelty in that like so much effective damage. So next up we have got Young Merric. So Young Merric with the classic Fire Emblem Mage attire, which I really, really like. So he's a green infantry mage, and he has got Winds of Change. It's a 14-might weapon, gives you -1 special cooldown. It's effective on flying foes, which makes sense. At start of combat, if he has got any kind of visible buff or visible status, or if he's at above half health, then he gets +5 attack and speed during combat, and he just gets the null follow-up effect. So the null follow-up effect is super good, but he has to be a bit fast for that, and I think he is gonna be because he does get quite a bit of speed from Swiss Sparrow 3 and also his weapon. His special appears to be like exclusive special, but I don't know if it's gonna be inheritable to other units. I am thinking it's probably not, because Marth's Fire Emblem and Hero's Blood is also not. So Righteous Wind is a 2-turn cooldown special, which becomes 1-turn cooldown special for Merric. So he can instantly retaliate back with the special, and it scales off based off his speed, and it restores 10 HP to him and all allies after the combat. So all allies, and that can be pretty good for like a bunch of tanks. But it does have anti-synergy with stuff like Desperation, Wings of Mercy, Escape Route, Vantage, and like those kinds of things, and even Wrath, I guess. So you have to run like appropriate teammates with him who can actually take use of this, like Brave Celica with Double Lion, or Normal Alm with his Falchion Refine. You know, any of those units, or Fallen Celica, I guess, if anyone still uses her. So those kinds of units are going to be really nice with him, even though they're offensive, and tank units in general can be pretty nice as well. So he himself, you know, is going to be having anti-synergy with Desperation and Vantage, which is going to be a bit of a bummer because he can be a bit fast. So Desperation would have been good, but nonetheless, this is a nice like one-turn cooldown special which scales off his speed. So I think it could be pretty useful, especially like if you go like the bulky route, which you could actually with him. So he has got Suspara 3, Wind Sweep, going with the whole wind theme, and Distant Guard 3. So Merric appears to be a pretty interesting unit actually. He doesn't appear to be like too insanely powerful like Legendary Celica or Thracier, but he's unique in his own regard with that healing special, and also of course having null follow up on your weapon is really nice. I did calculate his speed based off on his special. I did the same for Marth as well. So I think Merric is going to be having around like 38 to 40 base speed. So like he's getting 15 points of extra damage from the special, so he should be at least at 50 speed during this combat. Of course it can vary a bit, so this is my speculation about him. I do think that he's going to be having 34 base attack, and he is going to be having pretty like workable defense, I guess, for a mage. Resistance is kind of low, I guess, which goes like with the theme of Merric. Original Merric also does have similar stat spread, but here Young Merric has got more BST, so makes sense. Really interesting unit. And at last we have got Young Palla, Catria, and Est. Est is the most adorable out of these. She just appears to be so like cheerful, and she has no idea of what's going on here. So Young Palla is a Lance Flyer, and she is a trio unit, not even a duo unit, but you know their duo skill is called duo skill actually. So they've got White Down Spear, which is essentially a 19 might weapon, and if the number of flying units on the team is equal to or greater than 3, and if she initiates combat, she can inflict -4 attack and defense debuff on foe during combat, and she also makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. So semi-lull skill similar to Belief and Love, I guess. And if the number of flying allies within 2 spaces is more than or equal to 2, then she can attack twice. So she can pretty easily quad attack with this kind of weapon, and she's the kind of unit you absolutely have to run on a Fire Emblem team to get most use out of her. Sure, this can appear to be pretty restrictive, but that's where she really shines. In the mixed teams or something like that, she's not really going to be doing anything of any kind of value because you at least need 2 or more flying units to get the brave effect at least. And if you want to get the in-combat debuff and the guaranteed follow-up attack, then you need to have a Flyer Emblem team basically. So her weapon is really powerful, you know, especially with flyer mobility, but it's really restrictive in team composition. So she's got Reposition, Mirror Impact. Mirror Impact is going to be super nice because she is quite slow, and this can definitely help her survive in combats where the foe can just follow-up attack. So this impact skill is really nice. She's got Chill Attack Speed, which is like a Bright Shrine debuff basically. And this is a really nice debuff. You could use this with other global chill skills and just try to affect many units. Chill Attack Speed is usually going to be aimed towards like very fast offensive nukes, or just really fast units who are like wanting to be a Vantage Sweeper or are meaning to be tanky units with stuff like Close Call or Repel. So those units are going to get targeted. And then she's got Goat Flyers, which normal Palla also has. So we actually do know the stat spread of her because she does move here after showing her duo skill. So just like her weapon, her duo skill is very synergetic with any kind of flyer team. So this duo skill gives +1 movement to your flying allies. And this does not stack up with the beast units. So you're not going to be having like a 4 movement Tebarn or Naisala anytime soon. And at sort of odd number turns, if the duo skill has been already used, then she can use it again, which does make sense because this is a really restrictive unit. And if you take a look at its AoE, it's just similar to Blazing Wind, really small compared to the other duo skills AoE that we have got. if you have really highly invested flyers, then Palla can be a really powerful unit on that kind of team with basically like a guaranteed quad attacks if you just play it right. And you could easily do that with stuff like flyer formation and flyer guidance, air orders, many of those flying movement skills. So that is Palla, and we're also going to be getting a free unit on this banner, so she appears right over here, and that is young Minerva. And this is so weird, they didn't make her a Pegasus flyer, they still have a wyvern on her, because if you guys not know, Minerva like used to be a Pegasus flyer before. She didn't always mount a wyvern, so it's kind of weird how they missed that kind of detail. Maybe she has something like that in her voice lines, who knows. But yeah, we do have her art, and she's an axe flyer, so she is gonna be a pretty nice unit because she is having a preferred weapon, and if these preferred weapons are any kind of indication, then it's gonna be pretty similar to normal Minerva's Aught Clear. Pretty excited for her because we don't really get new axe flyers all the time. So let me know if you agree or disagree with my stat speculation, and if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like, and a comment helps me tremendously. And when you subscribe, please be sure to hit the notification bell and click on all so that you can always get the updates to my videos whenever I upload, because YouTube sub boxes are about as truthful as Caeda when she says she does not want to hurt anyone. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.